Welcome back to Musical Connections from the East Coast Music Awards here in St. John's. Joining me right now, she's played with the Jerry Can, she's played with Selena Boland, The Lost and Found, Presto Changeo. She's also last year's winner for Fusion Release of the Year at the East Coast Music Awards. And she's back here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Gina Burgess, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Zach.
And thanks so much for coming on. You just want to move your mic down a little bit for me? There, so I can see your face and just get to talk to you. The last time we met was at the ECMAs. You and I shared a swig of gin together.
Yes, we did.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. When we were waiting to go to see the villages, and that was a great time. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, I've heard of who you are. I've heard of your work, with the I Snow crowd, the Anuri drum machine, drum circle. You've played violin for Selena Boland on a couple of her tracks from her albums, All These Hours and Take My Heart and Run. You also play with The Lost and Found with Ben Chapman-Smith, Pat Sloan, and the guys. We'll talk about that shortly. But tell me a little bit about Gina Burgess.
What would you like to know?
Everything.
So I am originally from Mi'kma'ki, from Nova Scotia, just outside Halifax, actually. I grew up playing and studying classical violin there. And when I was 19, I had a repetitive strain injury that left me unable to, actually use my hands for a little while at all.
Wow.
And then, so I couldn't play violin. And I had to make the decision if I wanted to learn the violin all over again. And I did. So when I relearned playing that instrument, it was with swing manouche in the style of like Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli, which got me into improv and jazz. And I started playing with a band at that time called Gypsophilia. We were a band for about 12 years. Toured all over, 5 original albums, many of them ECMA winners.
Wow.
It was a real highlight of my career for sure. And around the ending of that band, I was starting to go up to Nunavut quite a bit, teaching fiddle and doing fiddle camps and music camps, rather, teaching fiddle all throughout Nunavut with a few people who ended up starting the Jerry Cans. So I kind of transitioned from playing with Gypsophilia over to the Jerry Cans based out of Iqaluit, and I did that for 9 years. We stopped being a full band around the time COVID happened, actually. They coincided. Mm-hmm. And that was actually the push that I needed to release my solo music that I had been sitting on for many years. So in 2022, I released Is Now, I Snow, however you want to pronounce it.
Is Now.
Either or.
Got it.
And you were mentioning the Anochi drum dancers. They're the most recent part of that project. It's a group of drum dancers based out of Iqaluit, youth drum dancers. And they came up with contemporary keel-out choreography to each and every piece on my album. And we toured that project across Newfoundland last year. So that was very special.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing you at the folk festival last year, and that was a great set too.
Thank you.
Now, one of your other projects that you're doing right now, you step in from time to time with Presto Changeo, and you're also part of the collective The Lost and Found, which was founded by Ben Chapman-Smith and Pat Sloan. Mm-hmm. And I've had him on the podcast. Ben's the only other 3-time guest that I've had on this show. And Ben's a great dude with Can't Sleep Productions and all of his other stuff he's got on the go right now. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved with The Lost and Found?
I was going to the open mic at the Ship quite a bit, and Ben was hosting it. And I believe he saw me play there one time and just asked me, hey, do you want to be part of this group? We do this kind of music. I think you might like it. And sure enough, I do. Yeah. That's
wonderful. Now, you said about, having your injury and, of course, when your hands were, you were wondering if you were ever going to play violin again. How did it all start for you when it comes to this musical journey?
It's actually pretty beautiful. So my dad's parents, his mother was a cellist, a classically trained cellist, and his stepfather is a composer, conductor, double bass player, piano. So when I was 3 years old, my parents took me to go see them perform, and they were performing a Beethoven trio with my nanny on cello, my grandfather on piano, and a woman named Gina on violin.
Wow.
And I was only 3 years old, but I said, I want to do that. And my parents were like, that's ridiculous. You're 3. So for 2 years, I begged and begged and begged. I would take Kleenex boxes and pencils and pretend to play. And then finally, for my 5-year birthday, they bought me a fiddle.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And the rest of is history, really.
It is. And I also feel very lucky because my dad's side of the family is like, they're classical musicians. But my mom's side of the family, her grandfather was like a country fiddle player. So I got to hear that style as well. And of course, growing up in Mi'kmaq, I'm hearing a lot of like Celtic fiddle and that kind of stuff. So it was always interesting to me. And I got to kind of like start in that genre when I was like 9 or 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So who are some of your influences when it comes to, your violin playing?
Well, it's interesting. When I was growing up as a classical kid, I really looked up to Nigel Kennedy. And he was kind of like the badass of the violin. He looked different from all of the other players. He dressed different. He had always like crazy hairstyles. And it's interesting now looking back that he was kind of my hero because now I'm doing all of these different things, and I like things on the fringe, different kind of styles, different genres, fusions. And I think actually it was probably inspired by him all those years ago.
For sure. Now, another person you've worked with, and that's how I really first heard about you, was with Selena Boland. Mm-hmm. We've had on the podcast twice. What was it like working with Selena?
Great. I love her music. Again, really unique, kind of different. You don't hear that genre too often, actually. So I really like it and I appreciate her songwriting. And I was just trying to think where I think I actually met her at the Sheep as well. Ship, rather. Could have been the Sheep. Those are the 2 places we go most, of course.
Black Sheep.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we met each other and she had already heard one of my tunes, actually, Ravens on the Roof, and then I played it at this open mic.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, you're the person. So we connected and she asked if I wanted to sit in with her, and I did and played this wicked song. And then so she asked if I wanted to, record on her tunes. And of course, I always say yes.
And you ended up recording Falling Through. And I think there's another track you have on Take My Heart and Run that you played violin on.
I think there is. Oh my gosh, it's escaping my brain right now. I recorded 3 pieces with her. So yes, okay. I think so.
So I think probably the title track, maybe there's a couple of others.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you.
Me
I'm
either,
neurodivergent and I don't remember many things.
Me too. Me too. Autism spectrum for me.
Same, and ADD.
No way.
The autism ADD crossover.
Hey, let's go. Now, what drew you here to our province?
I came here and performed a couple of times with the Gypsophilia and the Jerry Cans, and I loved it. I loved this town, this city, and the whole province, actually. I did an ECMAs one time in Corner Brook, and that was really wonderful. That was years ago. So I knew I liked this island. And when COVID happened, I had the opportunity to go back to school. So I decided to come to Memorial and do a music education degree. And I just really, really enjoyed my time at the school. I really enjoy the music scene here. And so now, as much as I possibly can, I'm in St. John's.
So what are some of the similarities and differences between, say, growing up in Nova Scotia versus our scene here in St. John's?
Well, I actually, because I do spend a lot of time in Nunavut. And so to me, if Nova Scotia and Nunavut, my 2 favorite places, if they had a baby, it would be Newfoundland. I love it. I love it. You have the northern culture, Inuit culture, and also like Newfoundlander culture, which is more closely related to Nova Scotia. Even some of the scenery looks like the tundra up north. People eat seal, wear seal here, which I love. And I really dig it, I gotta say.
Would you consider moving here down the line?
Probably. Yep. Right now I'm traveling so much. I still spend a lot of time in Iqaluit. I am back to the mainland often. My family's there and I have some projects based there. And I tour, of course. But yeah, like I said, as much as I can, I'm here.
Well, what are some of your future plans for, like, say, new music and any, like, shows that you got like on the go here? Maybe with say like the Lost and Found, or maybe some of your own stuff. Like, what's in Gina Burgess's future plans?
Well, I am sitting in with Lost and Found tonight. And we're going to be booking some more stuff, I think, for the fall. I'm going to play at the Full Circle Music Festival in Avondale, which is in Nova Scotia. I was asked to put together a klezmer band, so I did that with some longtime friends of mine, so I'm excited about that.
There's an Avondale in Nova Scotia? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful community. And I'm going up to Nunavut with the drum dancers, the Anokli drum dancers. So we're going to Akviat in July. And in September, I'm back up to the Yukon and NWT and Nunavut, working with the fiddle ensembles there. And I have fiddle students in Iqaluit and work musically with people there. So I'll be doing all that. You asked about new music. So I do have some... What do they say? Like some things coming down the chute?
Yeah.
Everything in its own time.
Oh, yeah. Or come down the pipeline.
Yes. So I am working on having the Is Now album orchestrated for a full orchestra, 2 throat singers, my band, and potentially 2 or more keel-out drum dancers.
Wow.
So that's the vision for that album, that project. There have been some like new compositions coming through me. I'm not a composer that sits down and tries to write something. I actually can't do that. I just go outside into nature and I walk around and things come to me. So I'm really grateful for that. So some of the pieces that have been coming to me are really minimalist based. So there is a little bit of that on the Is Now album, but the pieces that are coming to me are like full straight up like Steve Reich, Philip Glass, that kind of genre, if you will. So it will be different. And I actually think that I'm going to compose those pieces in a way that they will be able to be played by anybody, any amount of people. So 2 harp players, great. They can play it. An 8-piece chamber ensemble, they can play it. An orchestra, they can play it. So it will be flexible compositions. And I'm kind of looking forward to that. And there's another piece that I'm working on that will be a film, like to be shown in an art gallery.
Wow.
Yeah. So it will be a film that you watch, and then myself and a few other people will create the music that you sit and listen to while you watch the film.
Oh, nice.
It will be on a loop, so there's no beginning and no end. And there's reasons for that. But again, these things are going to take literally years to unfold. So the film idea I've had in my heart and mind for probably already, I would say 12 years.
Wow.
And in order for me to get the funding and make that happen, it will take another literally 3 to 5 years probably.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who are you hoping to meet this week, and what are you hoping to take away from your experience here at the East Coast Musical Awards?
Well, I met a lot of really cool people this morning actually at the one-on-one meetings. So I was really happy about that. Actually, I feel like this year in particular has a different vibe. It feels really... I was saying to someone earlier, warm. It has a warm energy. Not to say the other ones weren't, but like this one's more so. I don't know if it's because it's in St. John's. Not exactly sure why, but I really did enjoy the one-on-one meetings and just going to support my friends. Like I'm super, super excited to see some of my mainland buds here and get to see them in local venues, which I also adore, So I think that's what I'm most excited about is hearing the live music, seeing my friends, supporting one another, and just connecting with a few of the industry folks that I already made a really nice connection with.
For sure. We're going to get to one of the tracks that you've been featured on here on the podcast shortly. But for people who want to find out more about Gina Burgess and everything you got on the go, we're going to go to when it comes to, say, like a website and socials. Yep.
So my website is ginaburgessmusic.com. And I'm probably most active on Instagram, which is ginaburgess.violin.
Well, awesome, Gina Burgess. I was happy to meet you last year at the ECMAs, and I'm happy to have you here on the ECMA's version of the podcast to talk to you for the first time and really get to know you a little bit more. This won't be our last time doing this, Gina. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Zach.